Everyone talks about the top 1% in Malaysia, but almost nobody actually knows what that number looks like. Half of the country cannot gather 1,000 ringgit in an emergency. At the same time, the top 1% controls 60% of all the wealth in the country. Do you know what that means? 1% of people own more than all the rest of us combined. Today, I want to walk you through this ladder, from the bottom all the way to the top. And I want to show you exactly where the gaps blows wide open and why most people never cross it. So let's go. Bottom 50%, survival mode. 16 million Malaysians are in this category. Monthly household income 1,000 to 5,200 ringgit. The median is 3,400 ringgit a month. Net worth less than 50,000 ringgit. Most have 20,000 to 30,000 if they have anything at all. Okay, share of the country's total wealth is about 3 to 5%. Bank Negara owns data that says 61% of people in this group cannot gather 1,000 in an emergency. Their monthly spending equals or beats their monthly income, right? And there's nothing left for them to save at the end of the month. So let alone invest. We're talking about factory workers, retail staff and retirees getting about 300 to 600 a month from the government. People who work 2 or 3 jobs, one hospital bill or one lost job, and they fall into debt and cannot climb back out. Okay, it's not about blaming anybody. At this level, the game isn't about building wealth. It is about survival, right? And that's why breaking out of this tier requires a completely different strategy. Now let's talk about the other one right now, the top 25%. The group covers 6.5 million of the households. Okay, teachers, nurses, engineers, junior managers, skilled tradesmen and dual income families with both partners earning steadily. Okay, monthly income, where is it about? 5,200 to 11,500 and the median 7,700 ringgit. Net worth 50,000 to 250,000 and the median is about 150,000 ringgit. At this level, they can handle small emergencies without panicking. Anything that costs anything about 2,000 to 5,000 ringgit, they're okay. And they probably own a house and most of their money is locked inside one mortgage for a property. EPF is their main wealth building tool. Saving rate is maybe about 10 to 15% of the salary, but here's the problem. They still have one big crisis away from going backwards. A hospital stay, a company downsizing, loss of job, inflation eating into their savings quietly every year. So the wealth breakdown, where does all the money go? 60% of it is in their homes, okay? 20% in savings, another 20% in EPF, or maybe some small investments. And their share of the total national wealth, only about 5 to 8%. This is where most Malaysians get stuck, okay? Comfortable enough not to panic, but not free enough to feel safe. Trading hours for ringgit, month for month, year to year. The usual advice, save more, spend less, only takes them so far. Because real wealth does not come from savings alone. It comes from ownership. And most people at this level haven't made that shift yet. Now let's talk about the top 10%. You got assets, but still stuck. This category has 3.75 million households containing senior professionals, accountants, mid-level managers, business owners, okay, with stable revenue, successful dual income couples, okay, monthly income 11,500 to 20,000 ringgit, okay, net worth 250,000 to 500,000, and the median is about 375,000 ringgit to 500,000 ringgit. On paper, this looks comfortable. They can handle 5,000 to 10,000 emergencies without breaking a sweat. They're likely to own their home outright or close to it. Okay, and maybe a second investment property. Okay, they've invested into unit trust, stocks, savings rate is about 15 to 25%. But here's the trap when most of these people in this level fall into. About 50% of their wealth is in their homes. Add in retirement savings and 70% of everything they own is illiquid, stuck. Okay, the spreadsheet says they are thriving, but the bank account tells a different story. Asset rich but cash poor. Still dependent on their monthly salary to breathe, and their share of national wealth 8 to 12%. top 10% income is still just a small slice of the real pie. Where's all the money? Most people reach this tier in their 40s, right when the transition from building wealth to protecting it begins. And that's exactly when most of them are starting to play it too safe. The shift that has to happen is asking that question, how can I own more, instead of how can I earn more? Top 5%. Now this is where the game changes. The monthly income now is 11,500 to 20,000. It's same as the top 10%, but the net worth is really where the difference is. 500,000 to 2.2 million ringgit. The median, 1 million to 1.5 million ringgit. This group includes entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, senior civil servants, and seasoned investors, people who have learned that wealth at this level is strategic. They are not just earning anymore, they are managing. 2 to 3 properties, residential and commercial, an active investment portfolio with direct stock holdings and business equities, savings and investment rate at 30 to 40% of income, tax planning that becomes very relevant to them. They have accountants, okay? They have financial planners. Wealth breakdown, 40% in primary residential equity, 30% in investment properties, 20% in equities and business stakes, 10% cash. They share the national wealth, but still only 8 to 12%. But they're approaching a threshold that separates comfortable from truly wealthy. Here's what's different at this level. They learn that making money is only half the job. The other half the job is protecting it, growing it smartly, making it last. Most people stop climbing here, but there's one more step. The top 1%. 250,000 households in Malaysia, only 250,000 people. And their monthly income, 60,000 ringgit and above. Net worth, 2.2 million minimum. The median, 3 million to 5 million average. And over 10 million ringgit. Okay? Share of the national's wealth, about 50 to 60%. 1% of Malaysians controlling more than 50% of the wealth in the country. Can you read that again? So who are they? Business owners making 500,000 or more a year. C-suite executives, board members, senior surgeons, senior lawyers, running their own firms, property developers, franchise owners. Most are 45 to 75 years old. Why? Because real wealth takes time. Though there are exceptions. Founders who built and sold their businesses in their 30s. How did they do it? 60% through business equities. They built something, sold a stake, and accumulate value over decades. 25% through property appreciation. They bought early and held long. 10% through compounding investments consistently for 30 or more years. And 5% through salary alone. At this level, financial security is absolute. Normal life events like medical bills or market dips or job changes don't really threaten them. They own multiple properties, primary homes, investment properties, sometimes internationally, and they have a significant business or investment portfolio that generates money for them. Wealth breakdown, multiple properties at 50%, business equity at 30%, equities and investments at 15%, and of course cash about 5%. And here's where most people miss it. They don't earn 60,000 from salary alone. The formula looks more like 20,000 from salary, 15,000 from business income, 10,000 from rental income, and about 5,000 from investments. That's more than $50,000 a month combined. So, the top 1% understand something the rest of you don't. Wealth comes from multiple income streams, from equity, from systems that earn even when they stop working. So let me zoom out for a second. Okay, this wealth ladder over in Malaysia is not a straight climb, it's an exponential. The higher you go, the steeper the jump. Bottom 50%, paycheck to paycheck. Okay, middle 25%, build security but very slowly. Top 10%, got assets but feel a bit stuck. Okay, and then the top 5% approaching real wealth freedom. And then the top 1%, true wealth. Multiple income streams, systems that run without them. Okay? The number to understand, 2.2 million. That's the door to the top 1%. Through the traditional path, EPF, one property, save what's left, it takes 20 to 30 years to get there. It's possible lah, but a bit tough, okay? Only true by sustaining focus and zero lifestyle inflation. But here's the honest truth. The traditional path gets most people to the top 10%, maybe 5%, but they are very disciplined. Get the top 1%, it needs a different playbook. 3 things the top 1% do differently. Number 1, they track everything. They know where every ringgit goes. They measure their net worth every month, like a business tracks its profit. You cannot grow what you don't measure. Most of them starts with one simple spreadsheet. Checks it every month. That habit alone puts you ahead of 90% of people. What you don't track, okay, you're flying blind. Okay, number 2, they own companies, properties, businesses, equity. 70% of the top 1% of the wealth in Malaysia comes from properties, another 30% from business equities. Their salary, just a starting capital, that's all. Wealth comes from equity, not just from effort. Third, they build systems. Investment that keeps compounding without them watching. Teams that run without them managing every detail. Their money works while they sleep. They don't work harder than anyone else. But their money works much, much harder. So here's a question. Do you really want to spend 30 years slowly climbing this ladder, or do you want to move faster? Because the top 1% doesn't get there by accident. They use strategies that most Malaysians are never taught in school, never heard from parents, and never read in textbooks. That's exactly what I want to share in my free BYOB webinar. I'll show you how to skip the slow middle class grind and start using the same equity and investment tools that the top 1% actually uses. Completely free. Link is in the description. The top 1% are not smarter than you, they just know something you don't.